Hey there, good morning. Good morning, my friends. How are you this morning? All right. Well, welcome to this week's Weekend in Review. And we hope that everyone had a great Mother's Day yesterday and a great Mother's Day weekend to all mothers around the world. This week, our topics will include, but not limited to, the E. Jean Carroll case. That was a shocker for a lot of folks, right? We didn't think that Donald Trump would be found liable, but indeed he was, and we're going to discuss that today. How about the CNN interview that was done with Mr. Trump? I mean, whew, to put it mildly. Then we have George Santos. He was indicted on 13 criminal charges, and he's still sticking to his story. Then some other things in the news. Mr. Robert De Niro just had his seventh child at 79, age 79. We're going to talk about that. How about Tucker Carlson? He's moving his show to guess where? Then we have the one of the senators from the great state of Alabama who likes to um, refer to white supremacists as Americans. Go figure, right? Okay, so let's bring in our sidekick today, Mr. Jeremy Baker from the great state of Pennsylvania. Hey, Jeremy.
Good morning. How is everyone? Hope you had a good Mother's Day.
Good morning. Good morning. How was your Mother's Day?
Uneventful, boring, the usual in Pennsylvania. There's not much going on around here. We didn't do much. My mom's been not feeling too good lately, so we just kind of just laid low for the day. So it was all
All
good.
right. I hear that. Well, happy Mother's Day to your mom.
Thank
And
you.
for me, um, I didn't. My mom was as well. She's very laid back. She's not so much into these holiday things. But Saturday night, we spent about 4 hours on the phone. My mom and I, till about 2 o'clock Sunday morning. It
Whew.
was a great thing. We never really do that at all.
Really?
Um,
Yeah.
30 minutes, that's it. And then after
Man.
that,
Oh.
I can't take it anymore. Because mothers are always browbeating you for something, right?
Oh, God, yeah. Oh, my mom does that perfect. Yes.
But
She does
this
it well.
conversation, we actually we talked about the past. We talked about my childhood. She talked about her childhood and her teenagehood with my grandmother. And I learned things I didn't know. And so I thought it was a great conversation, and very fittingly to be going into Mother's Day for that. So thank you, Mom.
That is nice.
All right. Listen, let's get into it. I
Oh,
know that
let's.
we
Mm.
had so much to talk about last week when these things was going on, and we said no, no, no. Let's just wait until our
Well,
weekend in review.
yeah, we
So,
call. I mean, well, well, I mean, the E.G. Carroll decision came out, I think, almost right after our show was over
pretty much,
last
yeah.
week. So, yeah, a lot went on last Monday after our show. So,
Yeah.
we had a lot of material to cover.
Tell me about it. So, we've got the E. Jean Carroll case.
Ah,
The jury, um, they the verdict came in her favor, and they found former President Donald Trump to be liable for defamation of character and sexual abuse.
You know,
It was a shocking thing. Not so much that no one thought that he was not guilty, but just to the fact that not many prominent rich white men are found liable for anything these days. And this fact, Miss Carroll was vindicated, I guess, in my point of view. What
well,
say
she
you?
might be vindicated. She might be vindicated even more. I mean, Donald Trump might be the only person in America that gets found liable for defamation to go on live television and his own personal website and continue to tell lies. They're literally like, the court, I mean, it was 9-0, unanimous decision, 6 men, 3 women, and they all found, nobody found Donald Trump innocent. I mean, every single one of them said, yeah, we believe he did.
And it only
So
took 2 hours for them to deliberate, right?
I think it was 3. It ended up being
Or
3
three.
hours. I wondered how long it was going to take, and I didn't think that's actually less time than I thought it was going to take. But
Right, right.
um, yeah, I mean, and then how do you go from that to lying again about the thing that you were just held liable for? It doesn't even make sense in the real world. But this is what
And
Donald Trump does.
right. And I mean, if we know anything, which we've learned a lot through these last couple of years dealing with Donald Trump, that's what he does. This is
Well, I think that
exactly what he does. He doubles down on whatever it was, on the hate, on the lies, on the conspiracies, on the deceit, on the cheating. He doubles down,
he
but he
does.
will not accept any accountability whatsoever. So we're not expecting him to accept wrong, but we're happy that she was um, vindicated by a jury of her peers.
And I hope that E. Jean Carroll's courage and strength will allow other women to come out and get some vindication as well, because she's not the only one that he's assaulted. I mean, Donald Trump is a sexual predator. It is. I mean, there's countless women, and then now the was I forget her position at the White House, but it was she was either an aide or somebody that worked with Trump, who went on to the news and was talking about how he sexually harassed interns, aides, to the point where she was literally paying. It was like sexual harassment Jenga. She literally had to keep going to these people and making sure they were okay with the encounter they just had with the president of the United States. That is disgusting. That is the
Right,
person people are supporting and voting for, and his numbers have gone up. Like I said, it's just starting to feel like a dystopian Netflix special.
right,
It doesn't even feel like it's real life anymore. Like, how do you get found liable for lying, defamation, which is lying about somebody, and and sexual assault, and then have more support? That shows you how messed up our country is right now. That should have the
it's
opposite
sad.
effect.
Yeah,
People should be fleeing from him in droves, like he's contagious. Like people should be running from him. Instead, like you said, not only is he doubling down, but we need to start looking at the fact that all the people around him are sticking with him. I mean, some are starting to get wise and move away, but a lot of them are right by his side, no matter what he does and what he says. They
right.
can't be reasoned with.
And
Facts don't matter.
right, right. And I think what's even sadder about the situation is that they don't care whether it's good or bad, right or wrong. They don't care. If it has to do with him, whatever he says goes. Um,
I mean, like we talked about last week, they're willing to sacrifice all of us, all of our livelihoods, everything we've worked for, everything we have, all us poor people have, regular American, everyday Americans have, to get back into power. This is the type of people we're dealing with. It's not even like, and you know what I mean? I try not to, it's hard not to talk about how evil this is. I mean, it's hard not to pick a side. You know,
right. I
before I
mean,
got into all this,
say what you want about Miss Carroll or the situation entirely, but this lady had an accusation. She went public with it. I whether you agree with her or not, she obviously has gone through some type of trauma. And so, in my opinion, let her be. But it's like many of his supporters, as well as him, continue to knock her down and make
You do.
fun of her and continue to defame her character, which is insane because you're like,
It,
didn't you just go to court for this? And you're still
yesterday, didn't you
doing
just
it.
lose yesterday, and now you're on TV talking smack again about the same person you just lost the case to? Oh, it doesn't, and it's not like he even said it in a room full of people. He said it on national television. It wasn't like he just said it to his son Don Jr. Oh, yeah, she's lying. Blah blah blah. No, he went on national television. Was like, yep.
And
I
then
mean,
as people repeat what he says or mocks her in their own way on their social media, he won't take accountability for that either.
no.
He'll say, no, that was them, they decided to do that. But they're listening to you, they're following you.
And
What
here,
about that does he not understand?
no, and the one thing I said last week that actually did happen, and I'm starting to get good at predicting these patterns, is he used the sexual assault case to grift and raise money, and he went on this anti-Soros tirade. Um, uh, you know what I mean? And it didn't even make sense. It didn't even say what the money would be for anymore. It's just like, just give me money, give me money, give me money. Like, at what point do these people just cut this guy off?
Right, right, right,
So,
absolutely, absolutely.
oh, you can send Paul that link real quick. He's on. He's up now. So
Okay.
he just sent me a message.
All right.
I have to give him. I'm have to give him some shit about this. Usually, you're the one that's running behind, not him.
I'm
But
telling you,
yeah, I
man.
just I don't. But that's what he did. He used that case, losing that case, as an excuse to try and raise money, and he did, and he raised money
Hmm.
off of a sexual assault case.
Right, right. And it just tells you the times that we're living in, how much things has changed within the judicial system. Years ago, you got a verdict. That verdict was upheld. There wasn't laughter or snickering about it, or maybe there was, but it wasn't as blatant and public as it is now. And you can't help but to feel bad for the person that's on the other end of that. Whether it was her or anybody else, it could be any of
Honest,
us to be
if I
mocked
was
that
EG,
way.
if I was EG and Carroll, this is exactly what I would have done. I would have watched that town hall, and as soon I would have had my phone in my hand, knowing he was going to say something, because Donald Trump's worst enemy is his own mouth. And as soon as he said that, I would have been like, bloop. Okay, go ahead and file that next lawsuit, please. That is exactly what I would have done and laughed my ass off the whole time
And in
because
fact, that's what she said. She said that she's thinking of suing him for a third time.
and this is slam dunk. I mean, and now of course they're Tacopino wants to talk about they're going to appeal. Appeal on what basis? They gave him plenty of time to show up, and he didn't, like a coward. They had no evidence, no witnesses, no nothing,
Did you
nothing.
did you peep his statement as soon um as the verdict came in, where he condemned the verdict, of course, as well as the jury, the entire legal lawful process, um and issued a lie within that statement that he was not
It's
given the opportunity to say his to give his own story, that she
mhm.
was given all the time in the world, and that the judge is a Trump hating judge. And but the judge was
It's
smart.
the same
He
tune.
knew exactly what he was dealing with. And when Trump's lawyers when he asked Trump's lawyers, will your client testify, and they said, I don't think so, Your Honor, He told them, I don't believe you.
Hey,
And so
Donald
I'm
Trump
going to give
didn't
you four
say
more days to see if he would testify. And of course, we all know that he didn't.
nope.
And still came out and lied and said he was never given the opportunity.
Yeah, I don't know why he kept with that narrative, but people still believe him. His people believe him. People have to start accepting the fact that there's probably 25% of this country, maybe less, that can't be rationalized with, that don't care about what the facts are. They just want to believe what they want to believe.
Right,
And you can't reason with people like this. You can't
right.
reason with Donald Trump if he doesn't even. I mean, his CNN town hall was an hour of blatant lying.
Well,
Nothing was shit.
we're gonna get into that. Let me just mention
Oh, I
one
can't wait to get
more
into that.
fact of um the point being that not only does he have the supporters that believe everything and will go with what he says, I think a lot more Americans these days are catching on to his methods, his modes, his how he his structure on how he operates. I think a lot more people are catching on,
They are.
and they're not liking it, and they're coming to find that there's something wrong, whether it's psychologically, mentally, something is not right there. And is this person healthy enough to become president again?
No, you can't give somebody like that access to nuclear weapons. That's just an insane thought in itself to give. You know what I mean? But
I
people are willing to do that. But
I
even
hear
if Trump were to become president, like even Bill Barr said it, Trump can't not deliver. I mean, Bill Barr said it perfectly. Trump, even if you believe in Trump and what he stands for, and if you believe all of his policies, Trump cannot deliver on those policies. He's a nightmare when he's in office. I mean, it's obvious. Look at the wreckage of what we're dealing with. The last 2.5 years has been nothing but downfall, or you know what I mean, fallout from his reign of terror.
well, we know if we asked him, he would not think that at all, and
No,
and
no, of
he'll
course
think
he's
the
the best
complete
at
opposite.
everything. Don't you guys
He
know that?
he's the best in the world, right? Yeah,
He's
right.
best at everything. His
So let's talk
courses are the
about
best. His hotels are the best. He's the best.
right,
Blah blah blah.
blah blah blah. So let's talk about this CNN town hall interview. Um, wow, right?
Yeah.
Wow,
Wow. Wow is an understatement.
yeah.
Wow is an understatement. My God. First of all, let's point out the first mistake they made. They put Donald Trump, who's just the day before, I believe it was the day before, 2 days before, held liable for sexual assault in front of with a young woman who was not ready or experienced enough to handle this kind of town hall. And even though she did push back a little bit, and I'll give her credit for that,
She did. She did.
but there was a point in that interview you can see, I look at body language more than I even look at words. And there's a point in that interview where he gets hostile. He starts to lean into her, and he starts to get he changes his tone completely and starts talking to her like she's an idiot. He's like, "Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready?" I hate when he does that. Are you ready? Usually when he says, "Are you ready?" it's just his brain trying to catch up because he's
Yes,
trying to figure out what lie
I
to tell
believe
next.
that.
Are you ready? You know what I mean? I can't stand that. So not any. I mean, she did, I think, as good a job as she could have in the situation.
I thought
But
she was. I thought she was great. I do
she did push
believe
back
that
a little bit.
the producers put her in a weird situation. We don't know whether she wanted that or not. But I do believe, in my opinion, it would have been better if it was a man who was doing that. Not to say that she didn't handle him or couldn't handle him, but he's very condescending. He's very rude and disrespectful against women.
He is.
And the last thing that we want to see is him being rude and disrespectful to another woman.
And but the stuff he was saying, he wouldn't admit the election wasn't rigged. I mean, it was just the same thing over and over again. It's like a broken record. But that's what propaganda is.
Right.
Repetitive.
And
Repetitive all
they said he was playing his greatest hits.
he was. And you know what? The one that bothered me the most that she pushed back, did not push back on at all. Not even a question.
What?
Was when Donald Trump says that babies are being killed after they're born. Okay, first of all, let's clear one thing up. An abortion at 9 months is called childbirth. Okay, and he's like, oh well, the baby's born, and then you look at it and you decide if you want to deliver. No, that does not happen in America. That is not a thing. Okay, so people need to get that out of their heads. And she didn't say a thing. I was like, oh my God, I was flipping out. You know what I mean? And they're talking. All right, so the other thing is these MAGA people are harping on it's a late term abortion. It's a procedure. It's extremely brutal. And that's what they're using their basis on why abortion should be outlawed and stuff like this. Stuff has been banned for 20 years in the United States, this procedure. And it was only done when it was medically necessary. It wasn't like people are carrying 7-8-month-old fetuses and then deciding all of a sudden, I don't want to have a kid anymore. That doesn't happen. That only ever happened when it was a medical emergency, medically necessary. It's not a voluntary procedure that people would go through. Okay.
And even those type of procedures don't happen often either. They do happen, but not on a scale that Republicans want Americans to believe that they're happening.
No, most abortions occur in the first and early second trimester. I mean, but nobody seems to want to look at the numbers of the facts anymore. That's why I said facts don't matter. They make stories up and just go with it. You know what I mean? Like the whole Biden, oh yeah, we got a whistleblower now because Biden's going down. For 2 weeks, they slammed Biden through the mud about this whistleblower they had. And then they came out with a press release and were like, yeah, our whistleblower just disappeared.
Right.
So what are the Trumps?
They can't find him.
What do these QAnon MAGA people do? They go on their propaganda network, and now they're saying like, oh, the Biden family is making these people disappear. Like, come on, man. Detached from reality. Like I said, dystopian Netflix special. No, the Bidens are not going around nabbing up. If anything, that would be something Donald Trump would do. I mean, he's the guy that called Twitter because of a tweet he didn't like and asked him to have it taken down.
I mean, when I first heard this report that they couldn't find him, I'm yelling at the TV and I'm saying, what do you mean you can't find him? You never had him.
I know that's what, but they keep doing this. Oh, they never had a whistleblower. Okay, let's get that clear too. They never had a whistleblower. He didn't exist. They just string people along for a couple of weeks at a time, get the headlines, get them on news, get the ratings up, get their money, and then they go on to the next lie. Or
anybody who's willing to say anything against the Biden administration or any other Democrat for that matter. That's why grab that person right there.
See, and then Anderson Cooper tried to defend that town hall by saying, yes, he is a presidential candidate, but the guy's being investigated for stealing classified records. The guy caused an insurrection. He could be possibly charged with sedition if things really don't go his way. That is not, to me, somebody you need to give platforms to, okay? He needs to have no platforms. If he wants to win the presidency, then go to your rallies and do your thing there. But the news and even social media have to start taking responsibility for their actions, realizing that he is trying to rip our country apart. Yeah. Okay. What happens if he gets in power and decides there's only going to be one news network and all the other ones are banned?
I sort of agree with Anderson Cooper. He is the Republican front runner. We can choose to ignore it all we want. He's not going away. He's there,
No,
and he could become the Republican um, uh, candidate,
the
right?
nominee. Yeah,
But my issue with this was, again, there should have been someone stronger that was interviewing him to push back. I
yes.
also felt that we know what his greatest hits are. And it's already been years since these things have happened or not happened. Why not show some sort of footage that has already determined what he's saying a lie? Every time he mentions a lie. That's been my thing. And the second thing is the audience. They packed that audience with nothing but Trump supporters. How do you do that? I thought
Probably part of the
normally
agreement.
in like a debate it's half and half. So I'm wondering, because I know CNN is not stupid either, was that a stipulation that he put on them, that he
Oh
will
yeah.
not appear unless the audience was all his people? Because I can't
No, that's
understand why there wasn't at least one boo or one person who what would question or stand up to what he was saying. I
I'm
mean,
sorry.
he started no, I understand. He started to defame Miss Carol again, and the audience laughed.
No, I was
How
just
do you
thinking,
do
what if
that?
I was just thinking if I was in the audience, oh, that would have been a whole different interview. I'd have been the lone member going, "What? What did you just say?" No, but yeah, I
Yeah,
agree. They can't. I can't believe they packed it full. It was just a Trump rally. It was just a mini Trump rally to feed
hmm,
his ego, and that's what narcissism is. He has to be told at all times how great he is. Anytime somebody tells him he's not great or proves that he's not great, he flips out.
right.
He
And not
cannot
only does
handle
he
it.
flip out, they're rhinos, they're Trump haters. They don't like him. They don't want him. All kinds of negative things. So if we point out that you just lied, we can't point out that you lied because all of a sudden that means we're condemning you to hell. It's
Let's not
incredible.
forget, Trump has walked out on interviews on people that push back too hard. So, they should have pushed back and watched them walk out. That's what they should have done. They should have had they should have held their integrity and not try and become Fox 2.0. Like, we don't need another network to pick Trump up because Fox is now ditching him finally or whatever. You know what I mean? We
Right.
don't need that. What we need is these networks to stop worrying about their profits for a second and realize we have a country that's falling apart, that they have a major part to play in.
Amen. Yeah. But that's not going to happen because the
No,
almighty dollar rules everything.
that is capitalism.
Yeah. Yeah.
And super.
And what do you think about this statement he constantly keeps saying that if he was president, um, there would have never been a Ukraine Russia war, or he would have ended it in 24 hours. Is that not a ridiculous comment to say?
It's not even possible.
It's not possible at
it's
all.
it's literally not possible unless you just nuke the Ukraine. That's the only way that would happen in one day. Which I
Right.
wouldn't put it past those two, Putin and Trump together. I wouldn't put that past anybody in that regime.
And I think
We
we
have
all
some.
know if he was president right now, there'd be no Ukraine at all.
No, it would be Russia. They would have given it the right. I mean, they just. He's just.
And he probably would have lied and said that the Ukraine wanted to be part of Russia.
Yeah, he would have spun it somehow. Donald Trump is like, I think, Maya Touch always points out that he's a transactional individual. Everything he does is for a profit or something that would benefit him. That's why he stole the classified records. He thought he could negotiate the return of the classified records to get something that he wanted.
And
You know
with
what I
that
mean?
said, on this interview, he's still saying that they were his and he had
I
the
mean,
right to take them.
how many crimes do you think he actually admitted to? I want to actually, after we're done, I want to go through this whole thing and I want to see how many crimes he actually admitted to. He admitted to
You're
taking
gonna
the
find a
documents.
-0.
She did a good job asking him, "Did you ever show them to anybody?" And his stupid ass is like, "Nah, I don't think so."
Did
What?
you see that? I was gonna bring that out. I was gonna bring that out. When he said that, I said to myself, Lord Jesus, that is a pure admonition of guilt.
Yeah.
He definitely showed those records,
And for
those
people in the world that
documents. He
don't
showed
know,
them.
if you're not cleared by the government to see classified records, and there's this extensive process to get secret and top secret clearance, and above, you can't just show those to anybody. I mean, I don't know if it has to be a crime to show sensitive. I mean, it's probably violating. I think that's what the violation of the
It's a
Espionage Act is.
definite
You,
crime, and isn't it
you
part
can't
of
just go
treason?
showing. You know what I mean? You can't just go showing this stuff to people like it's a trophy. Like, look at this cool map with classified data on. Hey, you can't do that. And he just admitted it on there. He's like, oh, the way. And when I took him, I can declassify him. And then he keeps saying about the Presidential Records Act. He has no clue what the Presidential Records Act apparently says, because it doesn't say the president can just take whatever he wants
Right.
and then negotiate a ransom for it later. That's not
All,
how it
all I
works.
know is when I heard that, I was yelling back at the TV because anybody who did not do something, they're gonna flat out come out and say no, no, I
No,
did not
no.
show them to anybody. He
Right.
said, I don't think so. Whoa, wait, stop. What?
I know that was the worst answer ever. His brain must be mush. I think all that spray tan is leaking into his brain and it's turning it to mush because it's not going well. And then what was the other thing he did about, not the classified records, but it was something else he talked about that slipped my mind that just drove me absolutely insane. I mean, there was a lot of things on that
There was a lot
interview
of
that
things.
drove me absolutely
How
insane.
about when he called Caitlin Collins? You a nasty person. I
Oh,
think I
just
was
for
eating at that moment. I almost choked because for all the times that I heard him say that, it's now
mhm.
becoming hilarious. Every woman that pushes back with him is a nasty person. What the hell?
Yeah, he does.
You're a nasty person. And the audience laughed.
I know that was the worst part. They just it was it was just
She
a
she was just doing her job. And she was very respectful. You can tell
uh,
that most of the crap he was saying she knew wasn't true, but she was
right.
being respectful regardless if that the audience was laughing. And he comes out and says that. But again, kudos to Caitlyn,
Oh,
because she did not let it disrupt her spirit at all.
there
And
was
if it
actually two
was,
things.
it didn't show.
She did good. There was actually two things that I wanted to bring up that really bothered me. One was him saying that he would pardon the January 6th insurrectionists. He did say that. Okay, and the other thing is he would be willing to default on our debt and put us into a Great Depression.
Let's
And
talk
now I
about
did
that.
more research on the second one here. Now, JP Morgan Chase has been having 1 to 2 meetings a week because they're literally shitting their pants about what could possibly happen if they default on this, if the Republicans keep holding our economy hostage and we default on debt. And they even say that Donald Trump does not understand and doesn't have the capacity to understand what the debt ceiling is and how it works. Remember, Donald Trump is not a politician. Okay, the debt ceiling is a United States. You know, what I mean,
Hmm.
it's not a business. Okay, it's not a business you can just run and manage the way you want and claim bankruptcy if it doesn't go your way and come back stronger. You know what I mean?
Right.
Defaulting on our debt and putting this country into a Great Depression would, like I said before, probably the only thing that would cause mass violence in this country
So
is if we went into that.
so Caitlyn pushed back on that, right? in regards to the debt ceiling, and she brung out back when he was president, that he said we have to get this done. America cannot default, and now brought it up to current day, and she said to him, "Mr. President, what has changed?" He he had the nerve to say,
I'm
"I'm not
not
president
president.
anymore."
Yeah, well, I mean,
I was like,
that tell you that should be
"Whoa,
a big red light.
whoa! How are you running for president? Wait, how were you president, and now you're running for president again, and you don't care whether our country goes into default because you're not the president."
It's the
I'm
only reason.
sorry. That is some bullshit. Excuse me.
That's exactly the only reason he gave. I'm not president.
It,
I mean, we're talking hundreds of millions of people. Our lives
the
are all at stake
president
right now.
of the United States is supposed to primarily care for Americans and for America above anything else. You are you are the chief, the commander in chief. Those are the two primary responsibilities. How do you say I'm not president, so I don't care if we go into default? I couldn't believe it.
That's it, 'cause he does not care about anybody, man. I wish people would realize that. Donald Trump cares about Donald Trump. Okay, they made so much money while he was in the White House, him and his kids. Okay, we could talk about Jared Kushner getting $2 billion from a wealth management company, and he has no financial advisor. He's not a financial advisor. He has no experience on wealth management. Has $2 billion with a B given to him. That's a little fishy. Ivanka gets 17 whatever patents in China while he's president. He puts his kids into positions they're not qualified and have no business being in. Okay, Donald Trump used the White House as a money printing machine, basically, to be able to do what he wants, get away with it. I mean, he can pardon whoever he wants. You know what I mean? That's what he wants to do.
And
He just cares about the money. He doesn't care about anybody else.
what you just said, how you said it, sounds fishy. Just in what you said, Kushner has no background in finance, or not to the level of maintaining
Not that
a
kind of
two
level.
billion
No.
dollar deal or contract. But nevertheless, the oversight committee refuses to bring an investigation in upon them regarding that. And in fact, they're chasing dreams and fantasies that they come to face reality don't exist.
And you asked me to look and see if I could find anything going on with the Democrats that would be, because I don't want to ever pretend like the Democrats are doing everything perfect, because they're not.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
at the same time, every time you try and find something, all you end up with some kind of conspiracy or whistleblower that ends up not. I mean, it's like the boy who cried wolf. I mean, these MAGA people keep, oh, we got him this time. No, oh, sorry. Wait, this time we definitely got him. Oh, sorry. You know what I mean? Oh, wait. We got him this time. Shit, the guy disappeared. Now what? It's like, how do you believe anything they say at this point? They have lied so much that I don't even know if they just don't know they're lying anymore or if they just believe the stuff that comes out of their mouths.
I think it's
Which I don't
both.
know which one's worse.
I don't think it matters. They're both
Uh,
bad. They're
this
they're
is what we
both
have.
bad.
This concern. This is disheartening, man. I hate to see
It
our
is.
country like this. I hate to
It
see it
is.
like this.
It is. It's bad.
Ugh.
But that's why there are elections, and so we hope going into the next election, we prove to these same people yet again, since after 2018, 2020, and 2022, that we will not continue to stand for this
Now,
autocracy, lying, cheating, conspiracies. We will not stand for it. This is not
I
what
think
America is about.
this is, but see, this is how America's gotten to work. Now, see, the debt ceiling could have been raised before the midterms because I believe the Democrats
Oh
control the House
yes.
and the Senate. But if they would have raised the debt ceiling, they probably would have lost the House and the Senate in the midterms. That's the problem. You know what I mean? The raising the debt ceiling obviously is necessary, but then the
So
other side would
so
have
why
used it
didn't
as a
they
tool against them.
so why didn't they raise it in the lame duck session
I don't.
after the
I
election,
After the midterm, you mean?
after the midterms? Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, that's a good. That's actually a good question. I don't know why they could have solved the problem before it ever became a problem, but something kept them from doing it. But I hope this teaches people a lesson of what happens when you put the wrong people in the power. I mean, when you give people like Marjorie Taylor Greene as much power as she has, the woman's a nightmare. She's a train wreck.
I mean,
Like this.
we all hope that this is waking people up, but sometimes it's easy to lose that hope. I mean, look what's happening in Florida. They
My God.
reelected him, and look what he's doing. And it's the
And think of
people that voted him
he's
back.
the second choice. If Trump does go to jail or is caught guilty of sedition, he can't run for president. So I think that's the plan. Is that hopefully that's the end game. But DeSantis is the Republican second choice. The guy's. Can you imagine the stuff he's implementing on a national scale? That's what I wish people would see. Like, you know what though? I think you're right though. People are starting to pay attention, and if people like, I don't watch corporate news anymore. I learned my lesson, okay, because they all promote it to serve their own purpose to get ratings and all that stuff. I watch nothing but independent news sources, and what I've learned is, yeah, we live in a country where the almighty dollar is more important than human life. It's what
You just
America's come to.
you just learning that. It's
I
always
mean,
been that way.
it has always been that way, but it's gotten to the point where it's so blatant. I mean, poverty in this country is out of control, and nobody's even focused on it. Nobody's
Yeah.
focused on it. They're focused on immigration. They're focused on border security. They say they're focused on it, and then they go ahead and defund the divisions that actually handle that stuff.
Right.
Um,
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. We've got this migration situation where this title law recently just expired, and the Biden administration expected an influx of migrants to just bum rush the border. But apparently, it didn't seem like it happened. They still don't know whether it's peaked, but as of now, it has not. It hasn't been a storm of migrants. But what do you think about how the Biden administration is handling this situation?
uh, I mean, our entire immigration system has to be revamped. It really does. I mean, even people that come here legally, it takes them years, sometimes even decades, to get citizenship. You know what I mean? In America,
Yeah,
we used to be the place you go to for freedom. These days, God, honestly, I don't know why you would come to America these days with the amount of oppression that's going on in places like Florida and Texas and Alabama and Arkansas. And I mean, there's so many places where, I mean, to me, America just doesn't seem appealing from the outside. Why would you even want to come here unless you're signed? But then again, we're talking about people that are being severely oppressed or trying to, like you said before, just trying to escape and have a better life. And America was originally supposed to be the place, I guess you're supposed to go to do that, which that's no longer the case. Now living in America is an absolute nightmare unless you have a lot of money. Then you get to enjoy yourselves. The rest of us just get to exist in America. We don't get to live. We just
right.
kind of exist this meaningless life.
I personally feel as though yes, a lot of these migrants are going through a lot. They're going through hell and back in their countries. Um, but I question: do we have enough resources to house all these people, to support all of these people? Do we really? We have millions of our own citizens that are still poor and starving
We
and hungry. Look at the San Francisco situation that's been in the news lately. So many homeless ness on the streets and tents. Uh, why are we not maybe simultaneously, a little bit here, a little bit there, trying to focus on it all, um, and instead leaving that situation to fend for itself and just worrying
Mhm.
about this migrant situation that seems to be so big and out of
Mhm.
control. And at the same time, if you see that this is a growing problem, what in the hell is wrong with Congress, both sides, to lock yourself in a room until you come to an agreement of
Right?
immigration reform? Because it's
It's got to be.
killing us on both sides. Both Democrats and Republicans are paying for this immigration problem.
There is enough money in America to solve the homelessness problem, to solve the hunger problem. I mean, there's enough money in America to
I
give
believe that.
every American universal basic income. The problem is we live in a very capitalist, anti-socialist environment, and the reason homelessness has never been solved is because there's no money in helping homeless people. You have to literally give out of the kindness of your heart to help somebody in that kind of situation. You're not going to get anything back other than you did a good thing for another human being, which should be enough, but it isn't. And I think that's why it's genius that Biden is at least trying to get the top 1% to pay their fair share of taxes, because those taxes, I don't think people fathom the amount of money we're talking about here that could go towards make. Because imagine if America was a happier place because people weren't constantly struggling to pay for food, electricity, car payments. What if we had help from the government and we all had a better life? I think maybe that would lead to less crime, less violence. Most crime is most crime is robberies. You need money, you go rob somebody. Hey,
I
you know what I
agree.
mean?
I agree with what you're saying
I'm not saying it would
to a
solve all
point.
problems. I'm not
I
saying it would
agree with
solve
what
all
you're saying
problems, but
to a point. Um, every country has to have its levels where you have your filthy rich, your middle rich, your low rich, and then your upper class, your middle class, your lower class. That's how a society flourishes because each class feeds off of each other.
mhm.
Now, but where I defer is we can do a little bit more for the lower class. We can do a little
Yes.
bit more for those that are hungry. For example, why does Congress fight over food stamps? Why? So we understand it's taxpayers' money, but it's feeding people. Shut up. It's feeding
Our
people.
kids, our children still have to pay for school lunch.
Yeah.
That's dumb.
Yeah.
In America, our children sometimes go hungry in school because they can't afford lunch. That's awful. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But that
The the
should tell you, like,
the
they
homeless
don't care.
situation, I think needs a bigger, needs to be put on a bigger scale, a bigger plan, because there's homelessness everywhere. Um, I will say, of what I know of in San Francisco, I have family out there, um, and I have a family member or two that here and there, he spends his time on the streets, not because he has to, but because he likes to. He wants to. He doesn't
I know
have
somebody like
to
that
live
too.
in the
I
street.
know somebody like that.
And I used to think to myself, but why? Why do you like that? The laws are so lax that the people would rather, it's like they're having more fun doing that than actually paying the rent or having structure. I mean, it's my opinion. That's
I mean,
how I'm seeing it.
I mean, I hate to admit it, but I'm actually going through like the worst financial crisis I've ever been through, and I lost everything, including my brand new car. But honestly, shredding myself of literally all my debt is and I didn't do it in the right way, and I didn't choose to do it this way, but it is kind of freeing in a way to not have to worry about those because debt. I mean, most people in this country make less, like half the country makes less than 30 grand a year. I talk about this all the time, but 80% of this country makes less than $100,000 a year. And even people making six figures, yeah, they're living in a nicer house, they drive a nicer car, but they have debt, crippling debt most of the time, unless people that are very smart with money. But most Americans go into debt. They get mortgages, credit cards, all that stuff. Then you have college tuitions, all that. So even low to $250,000 range a year, you're still paying a lot of debt, but your life is better. Now, above that, you're living your best life. You know what I mean? Most of the time. But that's a very small percentage of people. So you're talking maybe 10% of the population of this country that are living their best lives. The other 90% are either struggling to put food on the table, or they have so much debt that that's all they worry about is paying their
Right.
debt.
Right.
So I mean that's the reality in this country.
And
And
that's the
minimum
reality.
wage is still something something an hour on a national level.
Which is comically ridiculous just to even hear. I mean, I spend $7 in 5 minutes, let
It's
alone
insane.
an hour. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
And
But
the
that's
people,
a topic for another day.
and
But
I
that's
right what
ridiculous. Yeah,
but like I said before, there is a possibility for people to have a better life in this country, but it starts with us electing the right people. We have to elect people that care about
definitely,
us, not elect people that are self-serving and just want to get power.
definitely, definitely.
We have to start making better choices as a society.
Let's let's jump up to another topic really quick, as time has been getting from us. We have the indictment of George Santos that happened last week. He was indicted on 13
Yep,
criminal charges. Wasn't this so fast? When I
it
heard
was.
that, I was saying to myself, why wasn't Trump's legal
Right.
situations done that fast in 4 or 5
Yeah.
months? This was fast, but relevant, because this person has doubled down just the same, of which, they say, they tell him, stop trying to be a Trump, you can't be a Trump. But he's doubled down, as Trump has, and has pleaded not guilty of all of his fraud, his lies, his cheating, and everything else. It's absolutely hilarious, to hear him when he came out of that courthouse to say, "I'm gonna defend my on what."
Witch hunt. Witch hunt. What's the excuse for everything? Witch hunt. There's no more. We found the witches. We know who the witches are. We don't. There's no more hunt.
And I
We
think he
just found
was
them all.
stupid to not resign, because that's why. So if you're not going to resign, we're going to hold you accountable for breaking the law if you're
And
not
Kevin
going to
McCarthy.
resign.
Kevin McCarthy will not get rid. They have such a slim hold on the House. They will not lose. They only have, I think, a 5-seat lead in the House. So if they lose Santos, that's 4. You know what I mean? They're starting to get down to.
I get it. Talking about politics, I get it. But
uh,
this dude was a clear version of what not to do or be as a congressperson.
he could be the biggest. I mean, if anybody outlies Trump, it would be George Santos. I mean, when has this guy told the truth? Has he ever told the truth?
Well,
It's and unemployment fraud to boot. He was getting unemployment.
did you hear about that? While he was making, I think, $120,000, he was getting unemployment. Wait, and
uh,
he co sponsored a bill about unemployment fraud. Is that not unbelievable?
They are pure projection. That whole party now is pure projection. It's like everything they're against is something that they've actually done. Campaign finance. I mean,
Outrageous.
wire fraud.
And as the moments go by and the current events go by, we are learning that more and more and more. Whatever they're accusing of is most likely, look into their closet. You may see a little bit of that. All right.
I don't know. Maybe that's why they keep trying to investigate Biden. They're so tired of getting caught for stuff. They just want to be like, oh, to take the focus off them from. They're falling apart. That party's falling apart. What have they done?
All right.
I don't get it. Yes, please.
Actor Robert De Niro, 79 years old. He just had his 7th child. What do you think about that?
Who wants to have a kid at 79 years old? Are you crazy? You're about to die someday. I mean, why would you want a baby? I mean, that's some rich people shit right there, man.
I thought it was
that's
selfish.
Rich people shit.
I came out and I posted that I think that's just a little selfish. First of all, you already have 6 kids. Okay? And second of all, you're up in age. I don't like to say, well, he's gonna kick the bucket soon, but you're up there in age. Isn't that depriving that child of having a father? Some of the comments that I got was, well, he'll be taken care of at least forever. He'll have money. And who's to say that he didn't need a 7th child? And I'm like, really? Wow. So where are the other 6?
I stopped after my second. I was like, I got a vasectomy after my second. I was like, I'm done. I was young when I got it too. The doctor's like, are you sure you want to do this? I'm like, dude, I'm done. I don't want to repopulate the earth. I had 2 kids. I'm cool. But no, I mean, my first thought was, damn, Robert De Niro's still getting it in at 79 years old. Good for him, but damn, man, he must have some super like
that. Well, that was a comment or two that I got as well in response. You know, some women were like, well, listen, a man could have a child to the day that he's gone. It's women that can only biologically go to up to a point, but a man, as long as he's got that drive.
Yeah, I think pregnancy for women after 38 years old, it might have changed by now. It takes it to a whole nother risk level. Like you're talking about risking somebody's life at that point. You know what I mean? That's scary for a woman, but you're right. A man, I guess, can have kids apparently up until the day they die. I mean, Robert, good for you, buddy. I thought he would just be shooting dust at this point. I mean, he's 79 years old. How fertile can the guy be? But good job. Robert De Niro's kids. Whew.
Yeah, I mean, he
some strong genes right there, buddy.
I'm telling you, and we love Robert De Niro. We love him.
Oh, he's one of my favorite actors of all time. We love him.
Yes. We're just picking on you, but to each their own. And if that's
I don't want to make Robert De Niro. He was 79 years old. I'm still intimidated by him. He probably still whooped my ass.
That's right.
We love you.
All right. All right. One of the last things we have. Well, Tucker Carlson. He made headlines last week that he's going to be bringing his show over to Twitter.
Yay! The home of misinformation and white privilege.
Stop it.
I hate Twitter. Screw Elon, man. I got banned for sarcasm.
Well, and it looks like that you haven't quit either.
No, I don't. No, that's my touche. That was sarcasm right there. That was pretty good. But now Tucker, I think, from what I've heard, he's going scorched earth on this whole Fox News thing. Oh, you know what I wanted to ask you? Because we talked about Don Lemon. This is kind of a side note. Mm-hmm. Let's not forget Don Lemon got fired from CNN for misogyny or for misogynistic tones. And they brought Donald Trump, who just was found liable for being a sexual predator, on that network. Isn't that kind of like the
Go figure.
hypocrisies in this whole scenario are just
It's
unreal?
ridiculous. Yes, I agree. Yes, yes.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to get off track there for a
No,
second,
no, no.
but
I'm glad you brought it up because I do know that you had that in your mind earlier. But it's a great question because a lot of times when you're referring or talking about Dom Lemon, that word misogyny comes up that he's accused of quite often. But now to let someone who is the master, the king of misogyny,
right,
and give him his own mic. It's a little bit hypocritical. Yep,
a little bit.
a little bit. All right. Last but not least, one of the senators of Alabama has referred to white supremacists as Americans.
Mm.
Now they are Americans, you know, and if you're born in this country, you're an American. For me, it's but you're quick to tear down and demonize the Black Lives Matters folks or Antifa, right? Terrorists, bad people, blah blah blah. But white supremacists are Americans,
They're
patriots.
they're
What's wrong
idiots.
with that picture?
Yeah, they're not patriots. Patriots uphold the Constitution and defend all Americans, not just their Americans. That's patriotism.
Amen.
And this is not. That's not. That's. And I hate using this word, but it's become more. And I hate the fact that I have to use this word in today's America. But this is Nazism, and people need to realize that that's what it is. And as harsh as that is to say, that is what's happening in our country right now. Okay, it's not white supremacy; it's Nazism. Just because Hitler died back in the 40s doesn't mean his ideas and beliefs died with him. And
Right.
now they're alive and well in America. I
Right.
mean, these people's grandfathers should be rolling in their grave because they actually went and fought against this type of stuff. And now
That's
their
right.
grandkids and kids are doing this here in America. Like, it's
That's right.
unbelievable. And the fact that I'm tired of people saying, like Donald Trump saying a white supremacist is a good person. I mean, come on, you know what I mean? It's people that hate other people because of the color of their skin are about the most ignorant, narrow-minded people in this country, in the world, hating somebody just because of the way they look. And now they have this thing called white replacement theory, which is complete bullshit, where they're saying that people of color are coming to America to replace white people and take everything and blah, blah, blah. Like, that's what they talk about. This is the nonsense that they talk about. So they've decided that that's the route they're going to go. Thanks to Donald Trump, white supremacy is not only alive and well, it is out in the freaking open.
Right.
And it's growing.
That's what I was going to say too. You know, to each their own. People have the right to think as they want and to speak as they want. Um, but you don't have to be so blatantly public with putting Hitler on a pedestal or being anti-Semitic. Um, Whatever happened to equality? But we know what's going on with equality. These kind of people that feel that way are not interested in equality because
No,
they've never felt that anyone that's different from them is equal to them.
no. And people need to realize too, though, because this is all we see right now. It seems like it, anyways. And I hope America comes to the realization that this election coming up is probably the most important election in American history, because it's going to determine whether we have a dictatorship or a democracy. Those are your two choices. Pick one. Pick wisely. Uh, I am tired of. Sorry, Paul called me and threw me off track. But I'm sick and tired of us looking like complete assholes all the time now. I mean, the world must be laughing at us right now. It's a joke what we've turned into. It's a shame what we've turned into. And for every ignorant white supremacists that you have, there's 4 or 5 normal, rational Americans that don't believe in that crap. So there's more of us, way more of us than there are of them. But again, like I always say, they are way more united than we are because we're still squabbling over things like religion or sexual preference or what class in society you fall within.
Right.
You know what I mean? We're too busy squabbling over those little things that are irrelevant in the
Right
big
now,
scheme
the
of things.
newest thing that they're going to squabble over for the next year, which I think is ridiculous, is Biden's age. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and the
No
man,
one. No, I don't want to say no one. You know, there's an amount of folks that were hoping for a different candidate on both sides. On both sides. But the reality may be that we may end up with the same two sides. So, in my opinion, it's like get over it. We may not be happy, but get over it because now you have to think
yeah,
about now when if you realize this is reality and this is who we have, match that to the alternative. We don't need a Hillary Clinton part two where nobody liked her. So they sat home or they voted for the other guy because
mm-hmm.
she made them sick. And
I did
look
not vote that year
where
because I didn't like.
we
Yeah,
are at.
yep.
All
I'm.
because of that. Supreme
That's
Court
very true.
changed and all of that. All of the drama, all because you didn't agree or didn't like Hillary Clinton. So are we going to go down that route again with Biden
No,
because we don't
I don't
agree
think
that he
so
should be
because
running? Or some
I think
folks?
more people. Some folks are always going to vote for Trump, but I think more people are going to see that Biden is the clear cut choice. I mean, what is that? What did Trump accomplish when he was in office? He made what Space Force? That was about
Well,
it.
if you asked Republicans or his supporters, they'll say that he accomplished a lot.
He didn't accomplish anything, but I support Biden just because I can't support what's going on in the Republican Party. I only like calling it the Republican Party because I feel it's unfair to independents and Republican leading independents, I guess. But they've taken over the party. They've infested it, and they don't want to leave. So we have to vote them out. It's the only way to save this country is to get rid of this nonsense. We have the power to get rid of
I
them, but we're going
agree.
to have to endure them for 18 more months. I mean,
I agree.
we don't have a choice.
I have many of Republican friends, and I love my Republican friends. We talk about these issues all the time, and back and forth, and then we kiss and make up. But it's just sad for me to feel like I can't continue to support um, a type of party that's not standing for any sort of rule or regulation that we teach our own children not to do.
I mean, we should be trying to be better people, not worse people. What's wrong with love and compassion and empathy and understanding? Why do we have to have anger, hate, misinformation,
Right,
lies, violence? Like that's what America's known for: violence, mass shootings.
right.
That's what we're famous for.
And there is a way to get people to vote the Republican way. There's a way. Tell Americans what you stand for. Give them options on what you would do if you were in power, but they're not doing that.
But it's not even that. I mean, people can say all they want to get elected. It's a matter of what they do. You know what I mean? You got we at some point, even in the Democratic Party, there's corporate politicians. I mean, it's just the way it is. And until they take profit out of the equation and put people as a priority, this country is never going to heal. People have to be the priority. We, the people, we have to be the priority. We got to stop
Well,
focusing on external problems and we have enough problems of our own that we need to deal with, and we need to start with helping the poor in this country. Poverty is our number one problem right now. I mean, you might
I
not see
agree with
that on
you
the
on
surface
that,
because
but
nobody's
I would say don't hold your breath, at least not at the moment,
no, because
until
like I
we
said, there's no
change
money.
leadership.
There's no money to be had in helping poor people. That's why most people don't help. You can't make money helping poor people.
That might be it.
You're
That
right,
might
but
be it. Hey, Jeremy, let the audience know where they can follow you if they have any
uh,
questions or comments on today's week in review.
Jeremy Baker on Facebook, and then Instagram. It's at SGT Nobody 77, and then I'm on Clapper as well, which is an obscure one, but yeah, it's the same thing at SGT Nobody 77, and it's
Very
more of
good.
this. Only I use more curse words because Esteban doesn't let me swear a lot on this show. So shit. All right, I have to say one word.
We try to keep it clean.
So hard
Thank you.
sometimes. I mean,
I
it
know.
hurts my heart. Like I would honestly, I wish I didn't care about this stuff. Like up until when a couple years ago, I wasn't involved in politics, and I honestly was just trying to live my life as best I could. Now that I'm involved, like this stuff bothers me to the core.
I
What
hear
is
you.
happening to America right now?
I
And I
hear
need
you.
people to realize that it's more than just an election coming up. It is literally going to determine what this country is. Is it going to be about freedom or is it going to
For
be about
sure.
authoritarianism?
For sure. For sure. Thank you, Jeremy. So
Thank you.
today we complete our week in review on everything that's going on. Again, we anticipate another full week. Let's see what happens today, let alone for the rest of the week. And we'll be back next week to share with you our opinions on this week's current events and breaking news. You can reach us on any of the social media platforms at the Esteban Hour. If you've got any questions, comments, or reactions to what you've seen today, please don't hesitate to send them to us. As well as if there are any topics or show ideas that you would like to see or be involved in, we're also taking messages on that as well. Today is a good day if you woke up. So be blessed. Put a smile on your face. Things are hard. Times are hard. Life can be hard. But if you're breathing, you're blessed. If you achieved a goal or an accomplishment today, don't forget to say to yourself, this is how we do it.